right, so in our classroom we have 9 students who are in intervention. 2 students did not make progress this month. One student, Melanie, she had difficulty with the comprehension piece. She had no problem with reading fluently, decoding the words. However, when it came to answering the comprehension questions, she had difficulty with that. Another student, Jesus, he had difficulty with decoding words. Oftentimes, if he didn't know a word, he would just use the beginning part of the word and just guess the word. If it didn't make sense, he would just continue to read on unless, that's something that he tends to do. And when he's reading with a teacher, he'll just continue to read on, even if it doesn't make sense, unless he's stopped by a teacher and asked to go back and take a look at the word and is prompted by questions like, does that look right? Does that make sense? And so he is working on, using context clues and using decoding strategies to figure out the word. But the other students have made good progress so far.
Wasn't it Melanie, the one I tested, and she had misinterpretation mainly. She misinterpreted, and I don't know what would be ways of fixing that. She misinterprets the story all the time. It's just details, and she looks at the pictures more than understanding the text itself. So maybe telling her to focus on the words than the picture, because sometimes the pictures can be also misleading.
Well, yeah, depending on the text, they can be supportive or not. One of the things I've noticed is that it's really important to look at the miscues and think about not just the analysis of whether they're using meaning, structure, or visual, but when they're making the error, how is that impacting the meaning? Because some errors that children make totally take them off track of the meaning of the story. So if you could go back and analyze her errors a little more closely, and on an ongoing basis too, not just on the assessment, but as you listen to her read daily, and think about how the errors are impacting her comprehension, how are they related? Because that can be a big issue with some of these kids who are just saying a word that might begin like that, but isn't making sense, and they're just moving on, and so they're not really getting the deeper meaning of the story. That's one of the things I've been trying to pay attention to.
Data showing multiple students struggling in a particular area may indicate an ineffective instructional strategy, or it may indicate a misalignment between what is taught and what is assessed. Teachers are therefore well informed to make the necessary corrections.
With our common formative assessments, we always look for a 24-hour turnaround, so we have our data up and ready the next day to reflect on. We look for our strengths. What strategies did we implement to make sure that those objectives were successful for our students? And also, can we take those strategies and maybe put them in other areas with our students to have that same success with other objectives? Also, with the common formative assessments, obviously we look at those areas where we did have weaknesses. What strategies did we use is one of the things we look at, as well as why weren't those strategies effective? Is there something that would be more effective in reteaching those objectives?
We've come to the end of Part 2, Aligned Instruction, but we're not through with student learning data yet. Differentiating instruction, the topic of Part 3, also relies on student learning data. See you there.